Chris, I saw your video. Couple things. First of all, the little smartass little comments that I write in my description of the video, you can't use that and say I don't understand something based on that. It's usually something funny that I put in there. It's not. You gotta use the content of the video itself. I shouldn't have to explain that to you, but what you do doesn't make sense anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference, I suppose. But I wanted to clear something up for you as far as the military. You said that I had free health care and free housing because I was in the Army. Let me tell you, dude, it's not free, first of all. This house that I'm living in right now, when I moved here, I sold the house that I owned in Wisconsin before I moved here, that I bought and I paid for. I made mortgage payments. This house that I live in now, I bought this partially for the last 2 years of my Army career. I was making mortgage payments just like everybody else. The Army doesn't give you free housing. They allocate money that is, you can actually enumerate the money that I get based on my pay grade that I can use for housing. But that doesn't necessarily cover the cost of my mortgage. If I was to live in the government quarters, which they have on post, then I wouldn't get that money anymore. So it's not free housing. That's not how it works. I would get less actual dollars compensation if I lived in their housing. It would be like if your company gave you a deal where you could sleep in your office, but then they would take some of the money out of your paycheck. I don't know if you'd go for that. I didn't go for it. To compare the Army or the military with social programs, I mean, I can justify the armed services. I know that there's a justification for it. It's in this thing right here. I know I've showed you my pocket constitution before. It's actually enumerated in there. The common defense of the people. See, the purpose of the government, it's all in here. The purpose of the government, yeah, it's there. It tells with the role of the president, tells the role of the Congress, and it even talks about the Army. That the president is able to raise armies, and you should read this thing. It's actually in there. Nothing in there about healthcare premiums, healthcare insurance premiums. It's not. There isn't anything in there about it. Now, you could try and make it that way, just like people try to make the right to abortion being in here, which it's not. But that's bad law, by the way. But I digress. See, there are certain things the government's purpose is, and they're all in there. You could pretty much find them. What we've morphed into, and you can point to people that you disagree with, the Republicans, and try to justify it and try to talk me into it because they did something too. I don't work that way, dude. It doesn't work that way. Your examples of services that I've used, if someone comes to my house and I call the police and all that, doesn't sway me in the least. The public schools thing doesn't sway me in the least. I do not need public schools. I wish the Department of Education would go away. I wish it was gone. Private schools would be much more efficient. You see, you assume that I would want these things. Given the choice, I would dismantle so much of the federal government. You always use these stupid things, the roads that you drive on, which the federal government only has their frickin' hands in the pockets of that so that they can frickin' hold the frickin' federal dollars over the states. It shouldn't be that way. It should be down to the lowest possible level of government. And in my opinion, roads should probably be run by the county. If not, maybe the state. State highways, they have those. But all these services that you point out, you always bring up these things. Well, but you use these social programs. Things that I use that are run by government now, doesn't mean that I want them to be run by the government. I would much rather see this stuff privatized than it would be to have the government continue to run these things. Many, many, many things. Not obviously the military. Once again, the reason there's no double standard there. It's because the military is actually enumerated in the Constitution. That's one of the things that our federal government is supposed to provide. The reason for that, why is that? Because if you're going to be secure in you're going to have the liberty that you need to survive. You want to be able to walk around. The federal government needs to provide defense from other nations attacking us. That's the whole purpose of it. Because you can't have a country without borders. And of course, there goes another topic. We kind of don't have borders right now. The government is failing us. The federal government is failing us. Republicans, Democrats, everyone. I'm not a cheerleader for the Republicans. You try to pretend like you're some socialist. You're a cheerleader for the Democrats. You might say, well, I don't agree necessarily with the Democrats too, but I bet you vote for the Democrat Party when election time comes this November. I bet you do. Anyway, Chris, you got a lot of stuff wrong in your video. I know that you won't admit it. You can't be pinned down. You'll say some stupid shit that doesn't make any sense at all to try to continue to mask the fact that you have no fucking idea what you're talking about most of the time. But anyway, I just figured I'd give you a response. Talk to you later.